Hi, it's Anthony with Car Motivation. And as you can see, I'm not in the car right now, but I'm still motivated nonetheless. I want to talk to you guys about my story tonight, because I don't think most of you guys know. So, I am a brain tumor fighter and survivor. I was diagnosed back in 1997 after I suffered a seizure at my elementary school. So I was outside waiting at in line for the bell to ring. I had just got dropped off, and I was in line with my best friend. And all of a sudden, I started feeling funny, and just I didn't really feel like myself. And after that, I don't really remember anything. I kind of fell out because you're not really conscious during seizures. So I fell out, and they rushed me to the office, and I eventually came back to. And when I came back to, my parents were called, and the principal told my parents, he said, "Look, you need to take him to Children's Hospital in Michigan. Do not take him back to the regular DMC doctor because there's something wrong." And that was really literally the best call that she could have ever made. We went down to Children's Hospital, and I was went to emergency there. They did a CAT scan. On that CAT scan, they found a, something on my brain that looked like a tumor, but they didn't know what it was. And Lord behold, later on that day, they did an MRI. And on that MRI, it revealed a brain tumor on my brain stem, so they couldn't take it out. So imagine that you have to think that and live with that for, you know, I don't know, you got to have that on your brain. I mean, that's literally, I mean, that's a lot to handle. And I was in a space to where I was really like just like I was young, so I didn't really know a lot about it. So I was just looking survival, to be honest. Just survival, and I was going to survive, and just I'm happy go lucky, and I'm ready to get back to school. um, well, it didn't go that smooth. I was in the hospital for 3 months the first time, and when I was in the hospital for 3 months, they drained fluid from my brain down to my stomach because that fluid had nowhere to go because it was being blocked by the tumor, the cerebral spinal fluid, that is. And when that fluid was going down or whatever, that relieved the pressure on my brain. And with that being done, they wanted to go ahead and do a biopsy. They did a biopsy. They found out the tumor was actually a low grade astrocytoma. So it was a grade 2 astrocytoma. And that's a non cancerous tumor, but it does have the potential to become cancerous. And if you know anything about brain tumors, it doesn't matter if they're cancerous or not. They take up space on the brain, which is your main organ in the body. So basically, that tumor started growing at one point. And when it started growing at one point, I had to get radiation. I got radiation, and this is before I knew about any natural route or any of that stuff. Um, and so I got radiation on my brain. I was able to shrink. Well, the doctors were able to shrink some of the tumor out, but I still had part of the tumor. I had to get some more radiation, and then that shrunk the other part of the tumor. But I still had them. They just shrunk them. So I went ahead and went on with more time. I actually got on steroids at that time. And steroids, if you know anything about steroids, they puff you up and make you really big. So after radiation, I took steroids for about 3 months, and I was not myself, and I was not happy. I was bigger than the house, and literally, it was probably the hardest time of my life because my self esteem was down. And, you know, doing that was okay, but because I had to do it because of the swelling on the brain. It prevents swelling on the brain. But I was happy when I was able to get off. But then another problem happened. My eyes went cross sighted. So the doctors had to figure out if it was caused by the tumor or if it's just something that happened. Well, it turns out it was caused by the tumor. My eyes had went cross-sighted because the tumor was now touching my optic nerve. And they had to figure out a way to do it. So they said that maybe they could rearrange my optic nerves so that my eyes would not cross. So I got the surgery for that. Literally, the worst surgery of my life. Well, the second worst surgery of my life. I woke up and my eyes were bleeding from that surgery. They were bleeding for 2 days. Imagine that. 2 days. Nonstop bleeding. But I knew that I would get better soon, so I knew that, you know, I was willing to go through it. And so that was just a part of it. And then, after that I went through other stuff. I went through a time when I actually lost my hearing. My hearing got severely impacted. About 4 years ago. 4 years ago, my hearing kind of went all the way down. And I didn't notice. My mom did. And she said, you're not hearing well. And she came to me. It turns out the tumor was touching my acoustic nerve. And your acoustic nerve controls your hearing. So when it was touching my acoustic nerve, that's what was causing my hearing to be severely impacted. So I had that surgery, but the doctor said that that was a life and death surgery. And that's what he told me before he did it. He said, I would want you to know, he said, if you don't want to get it, it's okay. But it's a life and death. You got a 50% chance of not making it through the surgery. Well, I made it through. And after that time, things have gotten better and better. I still deal with some issues, but my whole thing is motivation and inspiration and staying positive. And that has seemed to work for me. And that's why I motivate. Because motivation is the key. Inspiration. Talking to you guys every day, it fills my heart with gratitude. And I really feel like gratitude is, the meaning of life, period. I mean, I'm thankful every day of my life that God allowed me to be here. Because I could have been gone. I could have been gone and out this world, but I'm here. If this lesson helped you, if this story touched you, follow and subscribe. Well, subscribe to my channel. My bad. Subscribe to my channel. And I appreciate you. Thank you.